When you think of the United States, you think of presidents, the White House, and democracy. You definitely don't think of kings, queens, and thrones. But hidden in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, in downtown Honolulu, stands a building that breaks all the rules. This is Iolani Palace, the only official royal residence on American soil. But this isn't a Disney fairy tale. It is a crime scene. A prison. And according to many, it is the most haunted building in the Pacific. To understand the ghosts, we must understand the glory. Built in 1882 by King David Kalakaua, this palace was more advanced than the White House. It had electricity and telephones before the U.S. president did. It was a symbol of Hawaii's sovereignty and pride. The king and his sister, Liliuokalani, hosted lavish balls, inviting dignitaries from around the world. It was a house of music, laughter, and hula. But wealth attracts greed. In 1893, American businessmen, hungry for sugar profits and control, staged a coup. Marines landed on the shores, not to protect the people, but to intimidate the monarchy. Queen Liliuokalani, to avoid the bloodshed of her people, surrendered her authority under protest. She didn't lose a war, she was robbed. The palace went from being a home to being the headquarters of the usurpers. This is where the real pain begins. In 1895, after a failed counter-revolution by royalists, the queen was arrested. She was imprisoned inside her own palace. For 8 agonizing months, she was locked in a single upstairs bedroom. Imagine the psychological torture, looking out the window at the kingdom that was stolen from you, hearing the voices of the men who stole it walking in the halls below. To keep her sanity, she sewed. She created a massive quilt, stitching her story, names of loyal subjects, and symbols of her heritage into the fabric. It wasn't just a blanket, it was a manifesto of resistance made of silk and velvet. Even today, visitors say they feel an overwhelming wave of sadness when they enter this room. The air feels heavy, thick with a century-old grief that refuses to dissipate. The Queen died in 1917, not in the palace, but as a private citizen. Yet, many believe her spirit returned to the place she loved most. Security guards and staff have reported chilling encounters for decades. The most common? The smell of cigar smoke. King Kalakaua loved cigars. The smell reportedly appears out of nowhere in the middle of the night, when the building is empty and locked tight. Then there is the Gold Room. It houses a grand piano. Numerous guards have reported hearing a single, loud chord strike in the dead of night. Others have heard the faint sound of a party, glasses clinking and distant laughter, echoing from the throne room, only to find it completely dark and silent upon investigation. One guard reported seeing a silhouette of a woman in a black Victorian dress walking through the closed doors. The disrespect didn't end with the coup. When the palace was used as a government capital, many artifacts were sold or stolen. There is a local belief involving the pohaku, the stones. Taking lava rocks or artifacts from royal grounds is said to bring a terrible curse. The palace receives packages every month from tourists who stole a piece of the site, only to face bad luck, illness, or divorce. They send the rocks back, begging for forgiveness. Iolani Palace stands today not just as a museum, but as a memorial. The spirits here are not seen as malevolent monsters. In Hawaiian culture, mana, spiritual power, remains in the bones and the places of the ancestors. The hauntings are perhaps just the royal guard, still on duty, ensuring that this time, no one steals the kingdom again. Would you spend a night alone in the Queen's bedroom? Let us know in the comments. And if you believe that history should be respected, hit that like button. Subscribe to the Dark Archive. We are unlocking new files every day.